Poor connection. Maybe not that poor. Hello, friends and family, squatchers alike. Just setting up the camera. Hey, Brown. How are you, sir? That'll be a little bit better than that for me. And maybe for you. Well, it's good. You're good. You're good. Everything else is good around here, I think. Things are pretty good. Things are pretty good. I can't complain. I parked under a lamp tonight, so I do enough. Thank you for the thumbs up. I do enough illuminating without having to overshine. You know how it is. Hey, Lisa, how's it going? You can't stay long? Well, at least you popped in, eh? You're at work? Lisa, take care for sure, and be safe. I will. Thank you. Thanks for popping in 100%. How do you do a thumbs up? Well, there should be just showing a thumb somewhere on your screen, I think, and you just hit it up or down. Or else later, when you pop in here, if you want to say hi again and finish the show or something, you can do a thumbs then. You know, another idea is to do a time comparison of something you enjoyed. Oh, at 9:10 when you were talking about that was cool. Some people look at it and they're going, 2 hours? Oh gosh, I don't have 2 hours. Oh, what did she say at 9:10? Oh, okay, maybe I'll check out that subject. And at least they get something in, right? Something I could do myself. I do it a little bit. But, yeah, it's up to us to read comments if we want to further our knowledge. You know, my channel really is trying to share some knowledge you're unlikely to get anywhere else. So that's what I'm up to. Hello, Butterfly. Hey, Butterfly, how's it going? Father Christmas. Is that a little bit of a joke? Should I have my red scarf on to really bring in the Father Christmas stuff? How about if I do like one of these wraps like this and stuff? I actually know how to do those well. Those are nice for keeping your ears warm with a scarf. I love scarves, man. I've only started wearing scarves where it wasn't a forced thing from my mom or something like that last couple of years, and really come to understand the comfort of a scarf. You can, because I got an injury too, so even my injury prefers me not to be wearing my hat. Yeah, well, whatever, pal, come and fight. Come on, bring it on. I got my crew with me. Yeah. Thanks, Lisa. Thumbs up from Lisa. Yeah, so I don't know. Come on, please. Thank you. Merry Christmas back at you, Butterfly. Yep. I hear we're not going to have a white Christmas here. Thank you very much for the thumbs up, the support, guys. And, oh yeah, thank you very much for the 655,000 views I'm at now. You know, I got a lot of videos up. My views are under what I believe I should be at, because I don't agree at all with YouTube and how they're sharing me. They're sharing me in a way that isn't fair. That, like, if they shared me all of a sudden and put me out there with 100 people, well over 50% of those people will stick around. I've been watching my percentages of newcomers coming around. And most people, you know, my percentage of people who stick around is a good percentage. But there's a lot of stuff I talk about and stuff. So for people to commit to those times when most of the people are really in a way just wanting to see Bigfoot, they're wanting to have some completion understood and stuff like that. But where I'm trying to say with me is I want them to not try to sell me on people who don't think. You know, the people who are just, you know, into playing games or into watching people almost getting killed, their cars smashing videos, you know, or that kind of stuff. I'm not really saying that. I'm talking about more of an investigative kind of mentality. So if anybody's got any pointers on how I can kind of hit that community a little bit better, you know, a little bit, you know, in a title, kind of, you guys. I'm not talking about trying to redirect me, because this is my style and this is how it stays until my team builds or something, until something comes along, right? So, like Mark is helping me out awesomely, the Beastmaster, or Master Beast, I think. Anyways, he is helping me out with a Facebook channel, and yeah, I haven't been able to get around to fully opening it up yet, but it goes to show, like, he's helping me out, and, you know, blah, 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 blah. So, I didn't have a subject in mind at all. I just decided just to come on earlier when I was on, and later there I seen my seen that people were responding to it, so I thought, okay, well, I'll go on and see how it flows. So maybe what I'll do is, seeing as though I'm at 655,000 views, maybe I'll open up my page, my channel here, and see if anything comes to mind. If anybody's got a question, a comment, a question to give me something to kind of think, and subject matter, that would be not too bad, but I'm going to have to turn that on, I guess. So where am I? Oop. I'm still here. My screen's on large there for some reason. What's up with that? Here we go, I guess. Something seems to be different right now. Desktop, okay. Something's kind of just messed up with my screen where it's very large. No biggie. Oh, I gotta uh-oh, it's saying my connection is very weak, or is it just not connected? Let's see. Oh. I might not be picking it up from here. Oh, there it is. It's trying to connect. I think. Oops. We'll see what happens. Oh, battery is weak. I'm going like this. Plunk. Don't go anywhere. And yes, it's the big side. There we go. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'm just kind of chilling tonight, trying to figure out a subject matter, if anybody's into a subject. Open the door, get some air in here. Got 655,000 views on my channel. Most of that came in the last year. I had, say around a year ago, I was just coming around 20,000 views. So in a year's time, I did what, 630,000 views, something like that, based on mostly my subject of the Bigfoot. I really don't know why this thing's showing everything so big, but it has chosen to do that for some reason. So how about recent videos then? Oh, I'll give myself a thumbs up, I think. Come on, what are you doing? I'll do it after. So yeah, so the mimic one. Bigfoot mimics cow and a donkey and dogs in that short clip. 2 minutes and 2 seconds, guys, I'm giving you. What if you listen? Yes, I do some cow calls in there. But the faint one in there, I believe, I write it down below, I believe I was fairly accurate when I did that. But it's a dog first going on. Then I do a couple of grunts because I was just getting out of my vehicle. And maybe a cough or something like that. And then somewhere in there is the couple of very quiet cow calls, like just like a dairy cow. And that, or no, first a donkey, sorry. Then the donkey calls happen, and there's one donkey for sure in that one for sure. You know, it could, you know, if you listen very carefully, you might be able to pick up that there's more than one donkey. Feel free to let me know. It's only 2 minutes. Remember, you know that circle in the end, you guys? Hit that all the time. You know, don't just go to your scroll bar necessarily. If you want to listen to the whole thing again, hit that, because what that's doing is that's giving me another number of you watched it again, and then you watched it again. All these little tricks, right? You know, if 10 people did that, then that's another, you know, whatever, 10, 30, 40 more times, you know, because they hit it 3 times, something like that. Yeah, so that's amazing stuff. Put it close to your ear, not that noisy in that one, and realize that somehow you're hearing a dog of a claim that I've been doing for a long time now in that exact spot. Dog stuff, coyote stuff, donkey stuff, cow stuff. The cow one, I don't recall if I've caught the cow on video yet. But I did previously tell you guys that there's been a cow faking it too. And look at, I'm calling out to him. I don't know if I got it on that short clip or if it's in another clip, honestly. But there's one point where it's like the cow almost is responding to me. So it might be in that clip where I feel it myself, where I'm doing my murr, and it does a murr based on, you know, me kind of thing. I mean, it doing it anyways, and the donkey doing it anyways, and the dog doing it anyways. I got no other reasons to be making these so-called noises if they were real animals out there. And they would be non-fenced animals. They will be free wild animals, though it's so-called donkey and cow, along with those dogs, and along with the coyotes, along with all those things that I'm hearing out there so many times and taping to you guys, and nothing has ever came and attacked me or anything like that. And yeah, it's not a game. It's you know, just letting you guys know what's going on, what's doing in the doing. So I got another one here, Bigfoot in the fire, Bigfoot teasing. Yeah, there's the ones teasing. Bigfoot will help you believe in your own belief system. Yeah, that one goes on for a while. That one has some good stuff on it. It's 8 minutes, and I might tell you at the beginning of it, do a little skip or something like that. Appreciate some of those things, right? Because I think it's worth it to listen to the whole thing. Lots of these ones are background music for you at the end of the day. You're studying, you're doing whatever you're doing, just put that thing on and, you know, and let it be music to your ears of an understanding way, because I ain't pulling nobody's leg. these, you know, I wouldn't doubt it that I'm probably one of the heaviest people who have talked about these guys fooling us, being big foolers and stuff like that. I doubt anybody has talked about it as much as me. I really do. On YouTube. And in using that word to describe them. And they are, but if you go back in history, there is a certain amount of people that have connected in with that and said certain kind of comments that gave us the feeling or information that they're, you know, maybe little trickstery and stuff like that. I mean, look at monkeys, look at baboons and stuff like that. They do their tricks to steal bags or whatever when they're in amongst the humans and so on and so forth. So it's a trickery kind of thing, something that two-legged little beings can do quick. And that's what I say is, whoops, go back. What they've been doing for thousands of years have been tricking the humans. They've been fooling us. At one point, maybe we did connect with them and know they were here. Maybe it was the native people that really did connect with them. I kind of have my doubts. I think they knew of them and stuff. Might have had a little bit more of a relationship. But that's what I figure it probably was just kind of like that. And then they really forgot about them. And then since the white man came here and established himself, and then all the, you know, the great country it is, I heard some fighter guy today on the UFC trying to, you know, he's got a bit of an accent and stuff like that. I don't know where he's from, but he grew up in Montreal, and he's trying to bring his hard life just because of something. You know, just these people who always try to talk about their baby lives. Like, we're sitting here and we're looking at this, and this guy's a professional fighter, and he's talking like a baby. I'm sitting there thinking, dude, you just have no clue. Now you're trying to stimulate some kind of a problem with this, and you're standing at the top of your game. You get what I mean with that? A lot of people doing that. Making up all these fake stuff. You know, try to attract more attention. This is all for real stuff that I believe, guys, and I know a lot of people are believing it also. A lot of people are starting to do their own checking into things and getting their own documentation. Hey, Bigfoot Memphis. And how you doing, brother? And they're getting their own, you know, solid feeling on what I've been doing and my commitment to this and my difference in the teaching and stuff like that. I'm not talking about, when you start to see into me talking about wood and stuff, I'm not talking about faces in wood or anything like that. I'm not one of those researchers. I'm a researcher that wood and grass and earth and dirt and seeds and pines and different species of trees and leaves and mushrooms and mosses and algae and all these different products that we will see out there. All of those come into my subject for a different reason, not for the sake of thinking I'm seeing something, but analyzing it for a use in some way or another. Right? Look at us humans. We've come down to now we're recycling our own human shit. So we do use of things, and we figure out the use of things to that limit. If we weren't such huge numbers, then we would have pretty basic thinking of the use of things. But we gotten so big in numbers, we had to think about recycling our own shit. Right? These guys have gotten so big in numbers, they hide their shit somehow. But there's other shit that they're doing that we might not like so much. Hey, Brown, how's it going, brother? Oh, I mean, hey, you were already on here. So I take that back. Kidding. Pretty good. Cold as hell, yeah, eh? You got snow on the ground, I guess, don't you? Hey, you're on. Who you saying, hey, you're on? Did you think I went somewhere? Oh, he's on mushrooms. No, not yet. Cool. No snow here either. There's a little bit of talk around here, kind of speculation of snow not coming until the January in this area. You know what I'm noticing a lot of, guys? And I know it's tough to hear me talk about it, maybe. Some of you guys are in tune with it. You know how I talk about the mole stuff? I talked about that one park where there all of a sudden was just like 100 of them. There's way more there now. I want to start, I want to get out there and I want to try to trace them. I want to see if I can even dig one. I would like to do a couple of those just to get a little bit more of my own understanding of what this thing does. And then maybe study up on a mole. Like, I haven't even taken the time, looked them up a little bit, but I haven't taken the time to really fully understand the function of a mole, what he's up to, because that's the only creature that I believe we have in our territory here that it should be is a mole for all this activity that I'm seeing. And some of the mounds are frickin' big compared to my head, man. I kid you not, just like that all around. And there's a lot of right under the grass tunneling. So it's about a tunnel like this, and just bored out, lots of stuff pushed up, even in those lines where they're just pushing it out, the lines, you know, as the grass is kind of cracking and stuff, they're pushing it out even that way and stuff. Very aggressive and stuff. A lot of them going on. Another thing I'm finding huge happening is our pavement is cracking. Now, if you spend some time and you go look at places where, if you're into this, where you see a lot of broken asphalt, and you figure that there is activity of the Bigfoot around in that area and stuff, then watch that asphalt. It only takes a little bit of time. It only takes that time of walking by and stuff. And if you catch it, anything catches your eye out of the ordinary, stop and look at it. You might. I stopped and was looking at some of the asphalt because I was trying to get a better understanding. And if this is fluke or not, I don't know. But I seen a stone probably about the size of my fingertip, just this part of it here. And it was actually a stone in the asphalt, flat as the asphalt. It was all flat. And I was looking at some cracks here. And I seen what looked like a crack, but with my eyes I couldn't really tell. But I was thinking, okay, that's either a crack or a scribe. And then I came to that rock, and that rock is broken in half. And then on the other side of the crack, what looked to be maybe just a scribe, but it might have been a crack. I wasn't sure, but it was just all so fine and all leading off of this other cracking that I was having a feeling is being cleaned out. It's not happening by the guy going around sweeping or a street cleaner or anything. So what I was also looking at, because some of the gaps are getting this wide on some of the stuff I'm seeing splitting up and stuff. Almost like our roads are hugely changing, you know, or some of these land masses are hugely changing and stuff and making our asphalt. And how you kind of try to watch for that is however it fragments. If it just did a break and then got separated that much, you'll be able to see it from side to side that it would have been like a key and it would have come together or whatever. If you want to know if it's being broken and taken away in any of those spots, that's part of what you do, is you just see if it would work like a key or not. And if it's not going to work like a key, then you know that somebody's picking at it, or somehow those pieces are getting out of there. And remember this, I tell you that they pick at rock. They just do it. They'll pick the rocks out of the asphalt if it's a light enough duty asphalt. And that's what I discovered at a place where they do kind of hang out, but the asphalt does have this issue, whatever it is, that it is a lighter duty asphalt, no paving, and they're able to pick them out easier. So I think they sit there in bunches lots of times, and the kids are probably doing this kind of stuff. The smallest of rocks, the bigger rocks, in asphalt. And the funny, part of the thing is they keep them, whether they just keep them enough to throw them over here or put them over here. They want to take this handful up there or whatever kind of things. People know they just transport things around, and this happens to be something maybe in their hand at that moment. And that goes along with the fracking I talk about on a big way, about them cliff defracking cliffs, about them, breaking rock, breaking our concrete, working on one of our bridge foundations. I would put money on it that we would be able to figure out and trace and look at the design of their scratching and all that kind of stuff, that it is being at least implemented, that scrap. Something is scribing that in there. So then we'd have to think either a human or some kind of an animal. Then we can also look at that crack and decide, is it being a repeated process? I think in all that work, we'd be able to tell it's being a repeated process. So something is coming back and doing it. Now, which animals is it? Is it a human? What human is going to at all? If you looked at that video, whatever, it's a quick glimpse of greenness on the front of there, and there's a big crack like this, and ziggy-zag. It's really cool, and just traits of these guys. They'll start doing it when they feel comfortable enough. They will start picking at your house. I'm sure some of us already know that or are watching, but for you who don't realize that, this is part of the reason why we have to be aware of what we're doing with the comfort. Hey Memphis, I'm sure you really get that, because you know where you've stood and stuff, and I'm sure you feel what might be comfort and might not. But if you think about baboons and how comfortable baboons are with humans now, to be able to come right into those towns of where they live, the areas and stuff, come right into humans' areas, and they play pain. There's other kind of species, I think, that are also out there that do that within the ape and the monkeys and stuff like that. Gorillas, thank goodness, don't do that kind of stuff, right? They stay up and away and like the solo lives. These guys, I think that's part of our concern, is how are they loosening up? Like, what's going on here? Is it we're just able to see them all the time and that's something new going on? Or are they loosening up? I'm afraid that I think that they could be loosening up. And I'm also afraid that they could be involved in the missing women, missing children, and in cases missing men. So I think it's totally worthy to know that humans should have an answer for any of their missing loved ones. And, there's a lot of guys who get in a lot of shit out there in this world, and I'd love women to try to give me a shit on this subject. Right now, I'd love them in different, in the native community, any community, come and try to give me shit for saying that I think Sasquatch may be behind taking women. I think they may be behind that. They've done it before. I want people to come and try to challenge me on this. The reason is because it will only get more attention, and at the same time, if anybody really truly connects with me, then they'll be able to start really truly learning my techniques of what I say will help us an understanding, maybe even closing some doors on some of the missing women, or at least ones that in the future may, if it does continue to happen, that we may have more signs to be able to help those searchers out there doing their job and stuff, the researchers and stuff. They don't know how to look for Bigfoot because they're not looking for Bigfoot. They're looking for people. When they're out there, they could easily come across some paths of a bear. But they don't all of a sudden stop looking for the woman, now start following the bear. You follow me? So they're not tracking a bear either. They're tracking a woman missing. So you can see what I'm talking about. Our minds only work certain programs when the chief tells us the breakdown and stuff. Now imagine in there's a couple of guys like me, or me with any of you guys on there, and we're out there in the field along with these guys. The different in our knowledge that because I know any of these guys that are kind of watching and they're getting their things, they only have so much time to commit and stuff. I know that if they did a couple of trails with me and stuff, that each one of them would have a lot more of an open experience of knowledge there. I try to truly say that just as modest as I try to be, but I'm saying it from the heart because I want this type of information to be trading hands and getting out there and more knowledgeable that we might have somebody in certain areas that has certain cultures that don't connect well with us, have attitude towards us. I'm not saying all of them are going to be issues or whatever, or each species, each culture, whatever that's going to be, each look, whatever that's going to be. I know it's going to be trippy, I think, when we start really seeing some looks. How's it going, Julie? Right on, you made it. So is everybody getting ready for the big Christmas then? You're listening intently, are Julie? Neat. Yeah, so I was just coming up with stuff there and going through a few of my recent uploads. Maybe saying a couple of pointers or not. You see those kind of weird squiggly lines and stuff? Those are just some pictures that I happen to have in this computer. I don't have much in there. It's a small computer. So they were easy, they were small enough to do a quick upload or whatever, and just give them that thumbnail. Because immediately, if it's just a black picture, Bigfoot won't give me any credit for it or anything like that. Not based on my title, not based on my subject of Bigfoot. See, they don't give a rat's ass. If that was some bigwig, I wouldn't care if it was coming up black, because they know that people would just be going there because it's the bigwig's name. But me, I have to throw in some fake picture then, in the black and white, to try to get your guys' attention. But those were from a different night. Those were actually from when I was living at my last residence there, and me and Jack and Chico, the goat, were running around and stuff, and I had a stick in my hand, and I was doing some fun stuff and getting some pictures and stuff. Well, that might have been one of my kids. Actually, that might be my son. It would be my 15-year-old. Or he would have been about 14 then. 16 now. Live. There's the big old Popo clan tree. That's an interesting spot, you guys. I kid you not, it's some pretty trippy stuff going on there. I gotta get out there, don't I? I don't like this thing. It's really irritating me tonight. Something's up with it. But I gotta get out there and have some success. But I'm waiting. Some of the people out there try to give me, some people out there try to give us advice, but you know what it's like. I've given advice and stuff to people, but I try to never give the level of advice that tells you to turn around and walk out your car and walk into the bush there and be with a Bigfoot or Sasquatch. Don't ever take any of my advice and think that you should be doing that. That only should be coming strictly from you, from your heart. And I think the other people out there who are researchers and done a certain amount of walks and had a certain amount of experiences know where I'm coming from here. It's in no way is it a silly game like you're walking at the park. If you just go to your big park and you walk in safe zone and go and walk along the thick forest, stand back your comfort zone or whatever, or if more people are around, just know and understand and be brave as you are. But you walk that thick of forest and you watch in there and stuff like that, you're also getting a view of their world, because they like to be watching us. They like to be curious what's going on, so they're at least leaving pathways through there that I think in some respects, in a lot of areas, I've said this before, that these game trails we've always called aren't necessarily game trails. I think a lot of them have been, in the end, Bigfoot trails. Are Bigfoots waterproof, I wonder? Yeah, I think so. I don't think they're going to have like us, like we're waterproof to our extent, but if we get too wet, you know how we go dishpan, right? They're going to have that other type of skin, like, I don't know. That's kind of interesting. First look, I went and I looked at a dog's paw, and it's not going to be that type of skin. You know, it's just going to be a rough, durable, and when it comes to the hair, I wouldn't doubt it if it's like that. It's got to be warm and stuff. It's got to be that type of hair that, say, kind of, maybe it's kind of like a husky type hair or a wolf's hair or something like that. You know, it's, you know, we're always finding this thing that we think is a human, looks so much like a human's hair, and we take that. Is it really gonna look that much like a human hair? Has anybody found a hair that they actually believe that was related to a Bigfoot? I have, at one time I did find a couple, something. I can't remember what it was, where it was. I wasn't able to keep them or something like that. I ended up losing them. But they were kind of more in the hair zone, I'd say, like, yeah, Chico the Goat, you like that name? Yeah, he was pretty cool. Hopefully he's still around at a farm. Some guy adopted him, took him home to his family farm. No, they were very soggy, methinks. So you think Bigfoot are soggy? Is that what you're saying? Agree, Julie says. I might be missing something. Bigfoot are curious. They come to us. I hear ya. Julie is saying found only structures so far here. Oh, yeah. Cool, cool. You know, Julie, I don't know if you've heard me say, but there's a number of people that have gone missing that, you know, mushroom pickers, that kind of thing. And they try, I think what happens is, you know, this is probably when people start thinking hypnotizing comes into it and stuff like that. I don't think it's that kind of thing. We can get lost in the forest very easily. And if we just can't figure out a north sign or something like that, then they could keep us lost out there forever type thing, right? So the lady who went missing last in this area here with the 3 dogs, that lady there, I believe, was there's a good chance that this guy ended up seeing her in another area, stopped for a smoke or something, and then the next day was watching the news and seen a report on her, so he quickly phoned them, and they soon found her and picked her up. So she had gone way over here, and they couldn't figure out how to get way over there, but some guy up on the mountain seen a lady walking down here or something with some dogs. And so he called, you know, something like that happened where, you know, that's just amazing. Could have saved her life. And I guess the start of that thing, how it kind of happened was, you know, a lot of those dog walkers, I've seen them a few times up there now. As soon as they get up there, they let their dogs all run free and stuff like that. They got that control of the forest spook that the dogs will want to come back to the, you know, their city dogs and stuff generally. Well, this lady was probably doing it, or whatever happened, one of the dogs did get loose. I'm kind of guessing it might have been the boxer female it was actually. It was a boxer, an old lab, I think, and then some other thing. But the boxer, or whatever dog, split. She had to go look and probably, you know, and look and look and look. Meanwhile, they probably just caught him and took him way down there, and then they would do their barking and call the lady or whatever. I mean, they're keeping them all happy and stuff like that. Not hurting them, treating them in a way that we would, because there's more to the story than, hey, let's just take them for some hamburger or something like that, right? I think we all know out there, if they want something off of the farm and that's right there, if they want that dog that's coming in the bush, if they want that raccoon that's walking right over there and they can see it, most chances are they're going to be having it right as quick as they want it, right? So I think we probably realize that on a similar thing, eh? I'm sure very warm. It gets so cold and wet outside. Yeah. Julie, have you posted the structures? She says, no, I don't post anything. No, eh? Howdy, y'all. The Coyote Slayer. How's it going, Coyote? I would like to check out your structures. I don't know if they're technically hers. Kidding, dwarf. Don't get mad. Just get even. Thanks for the thumbs ups, everybody. Appreciate the support. Look at what I got. I got some donuts right here. You guys ever see these kind of donuts? Timbits. So what's new? Tell me something exciting. Or I'll have to talk again. There we go, that's better. Julie says, I can, am willing to share. Have seen you in many comment sections. You have seen my name now on a lot of comment sections? Or are you talking about dwarf? Oh, okay. Okay, you're talking about dwarf. Yeah, I got his back too. He's a real man, a real person with a real life that has real interest here. Sorry, I just got mixed up there for a minute. Yeah. Take care, Ian. Or talk away. Oh, talk away, Ian. Agreed. Yeah, I don't know why we're doing shoutouts to Brown Dwarf, man. He's only comes into the thing, what? Dwarf, you had like 2 months ago, you had 10 subs. Now you're passing me? I think you've already passed me. I got like 17 now. I think you already passed me, brother. I'm not tough. He's chicken shit. It's a scary thing out there, isn't it, dwarf? It's a lot more, like, I never get to do it with anybody, man. It's a real drag. You get to have that comfort. You take, I think every time I've ever seen you with somebody, it was your boy was with you. So I've never seen him, but I've heard him. So that must be a lot more comfort. Because when I'm out there, like the odd time where I have my son and stuff, like that cliff one where my son was doing his stuff, I go into it basically a little bit when I'm leaving the park. I just tell my son information. When I'm coming to the park, I tell him information. I say, son, if you feel like looking around and trying to get a reading for things, I say, watch out for this on the cliffs. Watch out, you know, different things like this. And then when we're around there and he's climbing and stuff, I'll point out certain things. I'll say, you see that one, how it's all overhanging in such a way that it's like a top shelf, and I'm just teaching them the different little techniques. And so in other words, they're not grasping that my son is right into them. They're just, when I'm there, they grasp that I'm into them. When me and my son are there, they're grasping that the son's having a good time. I'm keeping it low-key on my research, kind of being nosy. And life goes on. You know, because I fully believe that you can start pulling them around your house. And I think some of my viewers out there might understand that a bit. Julie's saying, I think humans get caught in the deer in the headlights panic, that moment when you freeze. With a Bigfoot? Like you're talking about if a Bigfoot was standing here, he's looking and you happen to look over there, that humans would be just standing there with that kind of a look, like they're just frozen staring at the Bigfoot? If that's what you're saying, I somehow don't think so. I understand that a lot of people just want to be gone from there at that moment. How a lot of people kind of... And Brown Dwarf is saying, cheers, Tin Man. You're the man, Tin Man. No, I'm not the man. We're both the men. I am Tin Man, though. So I am the Tin Man. And you're the Brown Man. Brown Dwarf Man. So Coyote Slayer is saying, I've been hearing squatches do coyote yips. Cool, man. I enjoy the uploads you do, Ian. Love hearing those noises and such. Yeah, you've learned a lot since you've heard that and realized the connection. That's cool. Now you get to listen to them. Now you are studying their communication. You're studying their voices. Just try it on. Like I just heard that siren. I stopped to see what the deal was. Realize, I go back to my thing. It's the same kind of thing. We just have to have our peripheral hearing going on. And don't feel bad falling asleep to it at the night. Don't think you have to listen to it all. Just fall asleep to it. And let that be that you now know what it is. You're listening to it. It's that sheep jumping over the fence. It's just life. There's no panic going on. We'll know if we need to start to panic, and there is no signs of panic stuff. So at the end of the day, they're probably just going to keep being who they are, but they're going to become pains in the ass, and they might have some corrupt ones. Shock and awe. Okay, so I've been here. Yeah, okay. Cody Slayer is saying, as much time as you spend researching Ian, do you hear do wood knocks ever? You know those couple of videos I did a little while back? This is how, like, I've been trying to find those videos. It's just pissed me off. There's a day where I loaded up a number of videos. And in that day, one of the videos might say something about 100% in there, where it's actually the number or something. No, that's getting mixed up. But anyways, within this day, what was your question? There's a lot of knocking going on where it's just continuous. Knock, 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 knock. I'm just not talking about it. I never brought it up. I think I put up 5, 6 different videos. I talk about how hot of a day it is. Like hot as in wow. Afterwards I talk about it. And the names are pretty hot names, I think, and stuff. I know there's a lot of action going on. I can't fully, you know how it is. I can't fully, I don't do my 100% verification with my eyes on site. Let's say that. But one of the videos ends up showing those ones that are doing the peeking. We're up above on the tree. There's one here, and then down below in between the trees like that. You got one, but his fingers are actually the opposite ways or whatever. I think they're more like this. They're able to do them, okay? They're able to bend this finger well like that and make it look like that. But these fingers are down here. Because at one point you see a thumb. And I think that's part of how I come to the conclusion that this is that, because you see the thumb here. And you might not see these fingers or whatever. But it's, yeah, so, I don't know. I'm getting mixed up. So if you've seen those, I could always pull them out. But, so I am saying, yeah, not in particular video, it's, not in particular time I was in there, hour and a half or something. I wouldn't doubt it if I heard a couple of 100 knocks from just the same character the whole time. I never walked that far down. Never. I interacted with it a couple of times where I went up and was kind of just, you know, doing a couple of tree knocks and stuff, but it's not like I was looking for them or anything like that. I just kind of did my own thing, like I was mimicking whatever that noise was. I almost felt like the noise was trying to stay in a thing where it mostly almost sounded towards woodpeckerish light of a bang and not a harsher bang, like get the hell out or something like that. Anyways, those videos I like to remember what they are. And I talk about this one in particular time where 13, 14 seconds into the video is when you get to see these guys. And the one you get to see like this, he's got a finger going like this. And this color of finger, if you really look at it, see how it's not the same color here, eh? This color matches these ones down here in color. So be aware of these kind of things. And now that's at 13, 14 it happens. Somewhere on there it happens for close to about 2 seconds. You get to actually, because you get to see them from this side of the camera, and then the camera goes all the way through, right? So you get to see them for close to 2 seconds, and about 15 seconds, partly going into 16 seconds, you might get to see a couple there. At least one of them, I think, might be even way better in a picking out than one of these guys. Watch for those ones. You'll see them for sure. If you're able to see those guys and you're reflecting on the one I'm talking about, just wicked. They're what I've always pictured in my mind, if I ever really did, would have pictured a look of a Sasquatch. That's what I get at that point. It doesn't give me dimensional look or anything like that. It's just a flat surface look. So who knows how much that opinion will change when I'm standing in front of him as his nose sticks out this far or whatever's going on. I hope that answered your question in a long answer there, Coyote. Julie's saying, I only ever hear owls, but rarely see them. Yeah, that's because, do you ever hear the owls going a little bit crazy and they're doing almost like, hey, are they really talking to each other? Or are they... Because if you really go out there and listen to owls, I doubt it they're going, hoo-hoo, me, hoo-hoo, no, you. I doubt they're doing that. I think, they might feel comfortable because hoo-hoo's over here and hoo-hoo's back over here. So they might feel a comfort from that. There might be a little bit of lingo, but they won't get into it. So now you go jump into the little thing and see if you can easily join in on their conversation. And if you feel like you're joining in on their conversation, then remember you might be closing the gap a little bit. But you are then now having a certain amount of communication with not owls, because the owls won't get into playing with you. Could there be a character of an owl out there that had that kind of a character? Yeah, I would imagine there's been a few, and I bet you there's been some trained owls or pet owls that do that kind of stuff. But for it to be happening, you get a couple going or something like that, then know the magnificent of that, eh? That video I'm trying to... Hey, Johnny, how's it going? That video that I'm trying to remember, I don't know. Or I'm trying to remember it myself. Can't remember the name of it. I got so many videos up now, and I was going through some of my my videos the other day, trying to find that in particular video, and I just end up scanning for hundreds and hundreds of videos and didn't come across it. So it is Friday night. What time we got going on here on Friday night? 8 p.m. The party is just starting, guys. I've got steep tea. Rocking the house. Johnny, you know what I'm talking about, it looks like. I got my Timbits. You know what I got, guys? Believe it or not, I got myself this book. One of those second-hand books. They've ripped out the page because I guess they had some information on it. But it's the Oxford Encyclopedia of Trees. The only drag about it is I think this is where the age of the book was on this page. But anyways, because I talk about how Bigfoot has so much to do with the trees. And I kid you not, man, I can relate so well with looking at many of these different species of plants and trees. And I get so much information, and that's what I'm trying to share with you guys. And because there's so much information in the trees, because they do in some way either help the trees or just taking care of the trees. They really got to be the caretakers of the trees. I think that's probably their primary job. I've said that so many times now. Even though I don't really trust them, I think they can be some bad seeds in there, some bad guys or something in their culture. I'm not sure what it is. So that makes it hard for me to give a credit. You know what I'm talking about? It's almost like guys who are in prison right now. How do we give them credit? When they're out and they're proving themselves again, I guess we give them credit. But if they're still a bad guy, then we won't give them credit. So these guys here, I'm afraid on what level that they're bad. Don't know what level they're on bad. And here they do so much with the trees that I see, which is just phenomenal. And it's funny because I read some of these, I'm going to see if I can quickly find this one. They're talking about, it's an alder, I think. You know how the alders always end up doing that peeling. Look up the word peeling. It probably does not say anything about self-inflicted or something like that. I guess our skin, if I don't ever rub it because we're always shedding our skin, right? So I bet you that's why the scientists are just okay with it, with trees. But see how when we peel our skin in that natural process, when our skin's just shedding, it does not damage anything. Now, if I didn't rub it for a long time, could it grow up enough skin so I could be peeling it off like this or something? Like, why is the tree's skin even able to be peeled at all? Like, why does it at one stage in its life when it's young look like it's such a beautiful soft skin, and you could grow that in an environment that isn't harsh at all, and when it's 2 years old not resemble each other at all, even younger than that? And then when it's 2 years old, or again, not resemble that at all. And that process can change, especially in heavily populated areas. And that's where you come in. That's when you come in and you start kind of looking and... Oh, the owls followed you. They went, you're out kayaking, nice, for 3 miles. Always sounded like it was on the ground. Yeah, eh? Instead of elevated, I hear you. Doesn't make me wonder much. You got coffee, nice. So I'd say, Julie, that it really makes sense, doesn't it? And could you tell that that owl that was following you, even at times, could maybe sound like a different owl because the... You know, how the place gets whatever, but was it always in unison every time? Or, you know, you look for these different characteristics that might float out too, you know what I'm saying? Distance this way too. Because, you know, when somebody, if you were looking and then you realize, oh, there's a cliff in that area. So how is that owl supposedly getting around that cliff, you know? Nice book, yeah. That book's going to be an interesting book. One day what I plan on doing is just try some of my theories and stuff. I plan on just kind of setting up the book. It's got some really good pictures in there that I would be able to just point out some of my... Because it's old information, right? And that's what I like about it. It's really how some people can register the change in their areas. You don't seem to get trolls on your comment section. I know, isn't that so nice? That's one awesome thing about it is I don't have a bad amount of thumbs down. You know, earlier days I used to have some people coming around and stuff, but maybe it's because I just can't be bothered much with them. You know, sometimes I'll just try to invite them in with their stupid shit. I'll answer it and stuff, right? Because I like it when a person will still try to see the positive answer. When my kids, like, this is a psychology I always did with my kids. Okay, son, what's 2 plus 2? 5, Dad. I would say the answer is actually 4. And then you say, the kid goes, oh, I thought it was 5. And then let's stop right here now. What you do is you don't repeat that answer anymore. Now, from now on, you know the answer's 4. So 2 plus 2 is 4. And what you try to get them to do is eliminate looking at the wrong answer too much, because that's one of our faults. And that's one of our things with, oh yeah, back 2 years ago, I'm going to think about this bad answer, and I thought I moved on from it, but instead I'm going to sit here, instead of going, but I'm going to turn on this power now, and talk to whatever, and watch this, and enlighten my mind, and watch a smart human that I think is good on YouTube, or, you know, we all know what I'm saying. We all do it. Caught many translucent faces and figures while taking pics of structures. You have done that, Johnny. Nice. Coyote is saying, I think you are right, Johnny. I think there's power in pyramids, and they imitate them in some structures. Julie is saying, I knew nothing about Bigfoot at the time. Oh, when you were on that kayaking trip? Was clueless. Brother kept pointing it out, hooting in strange places. Neato. Have you talked to your brother again since you've, stepped in a little bit more into this realm of things? Johnny says, thanks, Coyote. And Julie says, agreed with the whole earth energy being used by these critters. You think it's earth energy being used? I don't think it's kind of like a Tim Hortons Timbit energy? Sugar fixing them or something? Yes, and my brother thinks I am nuts about Bigfoot. He was there. Get him to tell you what that noise was all about. You know? You tell him, you're such a smart guy and you know all these answers. What is your logic? And he'll say, and then you point out, especially after we talked and stuff a little bit and stuff, there's going to be maybe a little bit of logic that you understand a little bit different now, and you can slam them with that. Or whatever, just having fun, right? Coyote is saying, why did you choose to become a researcher, and have you sightings when you was a kid, maybe? So I take it you're asking me that. One experience that I have told people that I didn't. Now I believe, in this last 6 months to a year, I believe that this was an experience when I was 16, but I never believed it until I thought of it just in this last period of time, from this information that I've been, this kind of quest of information that I've been on for approximately 14 months now. So my whole quest is really 14 months and forward. Back when I was about 16, 17, somewhere in that range, I lived up at the far end of Cultus Lake, if you happen to know that. I broke down in town with my car, down in Vedder or something like that. I had to walk home. Long walk, many miles home. And I'm walking around Cultus Lake, and it's pitch black out. Cultus Lake, the mountains aren't like the grandest in the world, but they're kind of sharp and dive deep. And that's where the lake is and stuff. So I'm on the roadside here, and it's really pitch black in there, and the trees on this side are really tall, and it's only the double lane wide, and you're just out there. You really are in the wild so much. It's really cool. And that was back in the day, so it was very calm in there. Like, I'm walking the whole time, and You would think maybe somebody would have come along and offered me a ride or something like that, but who knows if a car even passed me much or something, or whatever. Not sure. Anyways, so I walking along, and I'm in this in particular spot where all I have to do is probably about all the way to my doorstep, about a half a mile away. So I just had to go up this hill, over a little bridge, right to Lindau Beach entrance, if anybody knows the spot. Then I just had to walk down there and walk to my house. So I'm on this side of before you get to Lindau Beach. I'm walking along like this. All of a sudden, just somewhere right here, loud and sharp dog, and it was happened about 5-6 times, and it was just had no clue where it was, other than very loud. Maybe I would have been able to think that it could have been off of the ground or something, but I never thought about that. All I did was, quick as anything, I had my jacket off and I was swiping it around. Happened, like I said, that 4 or 5 times, 5-6 times, and stopped. And yeah, didn't hear it or anything like that for the rest of the walk home. So now, in my ventures, I think to myself because that never made sense to me, I've told that story about the dog many times. And now it's a story about a Bigfoot and a dog. But, somewhere around 14 months ago, I started kind of on this quest, and what had happened for about 3 weeks, I got this little plot of land that one day I happened to walk in there and I realized there's signs of Bigfoot in here. And so for about 21 days I hung out in there. And the process of what went down in those days brought me to why I'm sitting here today. And in that 21 days I had 200% where I got them in visual confirmation, and I have them on video confirmation. Not the easiest for people to see, but many people connect with them. And they tell me back information that I know they're connecting with them. They say enough about the creatures that they're connecting with them. And I also had a third experience that I just can't put on the 100%, but it's 100%. And there's a lot in that experience. It's kind of neat because it's kind of broken up and stuff. But and that was all by the 19th day. Even those 3 experiences was by the 19th day. On about the 21st day, I pointed the camera out into the back field there, and it's all just thick brush there. And I point the camera back there and I go, you know, guys, I'm going to have to learn how to track them through that kind of stuff if I want to continue on this thing, because I've been on this around 15 acres that I broke up into 3 5-acre parcels. Named the first part is called the Motel Monkey Gem, or Jungle Gem, Motel Jungle Gem, or Jungle Gym Motel, something like that. And then also the Valley of the Sasquatch, and then the nesting station. It's like around 15, maybe 20 acres. And so the next day I kind of got spun up when I was coming out there. Ended up on this other location, but I didn't know. I wasn't sure if I was kind of connected or not. Ended up walking in there for a couple of hours. Knew I just wasn't on that land, but wasn't really sure where I was in conjunction with it. Had a thrilling day. So this is like my 22nd, 23rd day. Had a thrilling day of realizing that, hey man, I'm able to kind of track these guys down and stuff. I knew there was a certain amount of activity around me and stuff like that. I didn't have any 100% proof other than I just know myself, and I got that kind of an information that helps with that. My tracking, I can see quite a bit of very fresh stuff. It's like somebody who is tracking a deer and wants to know that it's today or an hour ago or whatever kind of thing. It's that kind of closeness that I'm able to do with these guys in some cases. Many cases, I'm saying, in their areas, but in some cases is where I get it in that tight even for looking. Anyways, and in that in particular day, when I was walking out of there, have the 3 skull things I talk about: a snake skin heavy shed skull, blue heron youngster skull, beak and all, and a young bald eagle skull, all under the wing of a raven or a crow. I happened to be walking on the trail. I left these up. I see these 3 skulls there. I ended up keeping the eagle skull. And it was kind of interesting because that reminded me of months earlier, before I was on this quest, I came across another eagle skull and a blue heron skull. So what was that? Like that, I even dreamt that, well, I wonder if the eagle went in there to kill because they were under a stump. I wonder if the eagle went in there or whatever, and they both got trapped in there with their wings or something like that, right? That's what my mind was thinking then. But now I understand it as a burial spot, because in this one, and then a few months later I returned to this in particular spot I'm talking about, but on the other side of the ravine, and I came across another burial thing of an eagle, blue heron, and I think the wings and stuff that were there would have been just the blue heron's wings. I've never, in any of these cases, it's always been just the eagle's skull. Never gotten any eagle wings, but I have gotten or come across the blue heron wings with them. So, like, they might keep more of the bald eagle there, I believe. Anyways, so that was like on the 22nd day or something like that, I was in that spot. So I went home, because I kind of drove away and thought, where's that other area, my main place or whatever. I kind of totally approached from a different direction. Usually I go the back ways to that spot. This time I took the main front highway and came up like that to do it. So I go home, I Google Earth it, bring it up. This is when I was in my house there. Bring it up on Google Earth, and we got this Stave Dam system. So you got Stave Lake, you got a number of dams up here, and you got 2 or 3 dams down here. And that whole body of water is what separated these 2 different places. So I realized when I'm sitting there looking at the computer, I'm realizing, holy cow, man, those guys aren't going to just travel that stuff daily to go back home and see his family or whatever. So they're not over here just chilling for the day. They must have another family over here. So then I went on kind of a quest for different locations. I just hit the highway and came closer to my town. Went to a couple of different spots, located them. Went across the Big Fraser River, which is our, if you know BC, it's our big river. It's our Mississippi. It's pretty big and dangerous river and all that kind of stuff. And it's a huge highway of water. It could drown us out a lot. It could take out a lot of our communities if these guys break the banks on them, and that's what I also complain about, because they do that in their fracking. They pick apart the pavement on the rocks. They also pick apart the rocks that are just on the sides of our dams, on the sides of our banks, on the sides of whatever. They're doing that. If you notice, hey, how come that dirt is just sloughing away from that spot? Well, if it has a little bit of overhang like this of dirt there, think about this then. Because usually if it really is a slough, it should be right from the top, like the icing's all doing this. But if a kid came in, stuck his fingers under the icing, and this stayed up there, the kid's picking at it. This is what they do. And as they pick at it, they will work that. But as they pick at it, what it almost seems in a way that they really want to do is get to some big rocks. It really does. Once they start working the big rocks, then it's different. But, so... Yeah, and then I ended up going to a campground. This was the one that really freaked me out. Like, my family, a number of people ended up having some issues with me and my family, actually. And I've been working with a couple people to make sure that they're just chill about me and stuff like that and accept me. Like, my kids were around for the whole ride, so they kind of understood what's gone on. And what you got to understand is, with my family, they knew I got a hearing injury and stuff like that. So they don't really know how to comprehend the new Ian, because they deal with him all the time, and maybe he's more straikish and grumpy and blah, blah, blah. Well, also at the same time, I started coming across information that these frickin' beings are making trails in campgrounds where our children are. And my mom taught me in a big way To care about that kid across the street or the one that's next to your house, no matter what color, almost is exactly identical as your children in the fairness of life. And so I'm at the campground and I'm looking at the campground and I'm going, holy shit, man, these guys are hanging out. And I'm serious. I was like this. I'm like, if you don't understand me, I keep myself calm. But I would actually love to bust out in a bit of a language that tells you that it really upsets me. And it really did. So I looked for, and this was during the day. Made some videos on it and stuff like this. It's like a Mat Squeak campground, right under a big bridge on the other side of the Fraser River. And so the next day I was hanging out, not here, but I was close by here. And it got to be, it was kind of in whatever month, September or something. November? Probably November. September, late September maybe. And anyways, I went over to, so I was over at the mall over there. It gets around 8 p.m. or something like that. I'm just itching at the bit. Like, I'm really, really upset about this stuff, guys. And not handling it. I lived that in particular time, was I in a house? Yeah, I was living in my house then, okay? So I was hanging out at the farm up there, and I decided to go. That's right. Okay. So I decided to go over there then. Now it's in the dark, and I hit there around 8 p.m., maybe 8:30 or something, but I think it was around 8 p.m. Nobody's at the park. It's kind of a bit of a wet night like this. It's this kind of weather, all that kind of stuff. It's cold, blah, blah, blah. I go right by the campgrounds immediately. I had to park way out here now because the gates are all shut and stuff. The park's closed. I park way out here. If I remember right, I don't remember coming across a single person walking around the park. But if I would have, I might have in the very early when I first came, and then they meanwhile left. Because it's not very comfortable. It's very dark and all this kind of stuff, right? Like I said, it's all closed and stuff. Anyways, so I'm there. I go down by the beach of the Fraser River, and there's those little drop, almost like the water makes those things. But don't always count on that. That's part of the thing. I claim a lot of those bank things that go on the sides of supposedly lapping water and stuff and breaking these things off square, look and figure yourself. But anyways, so I stepped down this one, a couple of them, and I'm down by the beach, and I think I'm looking at big boulders maybe being moved around. I'm looking for footprints. I'm looking for this and that. I turn around. I got a flashlight on. I'm filming also at this time. I turn around, start walking back, and so I was there for however long. But at one point, I decide to turn around and come back. So when I turn, all of a sudden, what was probably happening, here's the edges. Somebody comes along, and he's standing here, starts to step down an edge. Doesn't have his left foot. If I remember right, it might be left foot. Doesn't have his left foot off of the bank, this edge very well or whatever. I'm turning around, but he already has a certain amount of weight that he's going through with it. He does a skid of his heel down this thing. His foot, because when he skid down the heel, it made his foot hit like this instead of nice and flat and controlled weight. So he does a toe indent, then gets the rest of his foot down, and then he takes off, and he can't fix that mark. I happen to come to this spot here, and now I'm shining it. I'm checking it all out. So this is just moments after. I see the footprint there. I see how water is actually soaked up into this. I know it's a barefoot. I know this is not the time that people would be walking around during the day. They're barefoot, all this kind of stuff. I laugh about it, all that kind of stuff. Have a great time realizing it. Step up, go on with my day. And remember, this is the campsite where I've become upset about realizing these guys are willing to hang out where we camp and watching over our kids and stuff. So much of it just happens to do with kids in this situation of understanding that kids are so vulnerable. Like, You know, how many kids have been bitten by a dog because they just didn't know a certain amount of information went too close to the dog, and you know what I'm saying, right? So anyways, if you know our system there, we got this big bridge that lands here. Got a train bridge that lands here. Over here is where the campground is. Here's in the middle is the big bridge. Goes across the mission here. Then we got a train bridge. Well, I ended up doing my walk along the dike. Not the dike part, on the lower part. Then I go up to the dike for a while. I go past the train bridge just here. And now there's a number of years, 5 years back, they did a Y in the trail, if you ever know this. Anyways, I dropped the trail there. I'm talking about the bush there, and I'm saying, hey, I'm not seeing a lot of activity in the bush and stuff like this, so they must not be working this area. It's kind of coming to me right now. I think that was part of the discussion, was based on seeing how much they're expanding in this area. Because this is one thing about it, is that area to me was all just newly built land, newly acquired land, newly making the trails that discourage us humans. I was naming it all what I could figure out. But I'm sitting there going, I'm seeing nothing that's telling me they're living in these areas. It just seems like it's all being built. And I walked that trail a fair amount when I did that. Next day, you know, the train, so we're back here by the train. And I walk that, so I'm talking about, hey, you know, this and that. And as I got a little bit further down, I realized that, hey, yeah, I can see a little bit of activity. They've been in here and stuff like that. And who knows, they might have been in there at that time, actually. Now, that's the first time I think that's actually popped into my head here. Because this is back in my early days of tracking. Anyways, and I recalled, hey, I wanted to be up on the dike because I wanted to look at the corn on the other side and see if there's any, if I can pick out a trail system or anything like that to do with corn. Because at this time I knew they liked corn because I had been feeding I took some corn in the cob to my first, habitat, obviously. And they had cleaned the corn right to the cob, you know, really perfectly. And you could tell they loved it and so on and so forth, right? Anyways, we know they love corn. I didn't know at that time. I didn't have a clue, really. That was my first days, right? That feeding them the corn the first time happened on my day number 13, which was my first face-to-face, which is in my video section if you haven't seen it. And I promise you, if you take the time and you have healthy eyes, you'll end up seeing something in this heart right here. This heart of love. Watch for the stick that's in front of his mouth like this. Anyways, back to the story here. I just want to finish this off. So I walk up to the corn and I'm looking at the corn and stuff, whatever. Then I decide to start walking back. So we got the train. We got the Y in the trail. I did the lower Y. I came up to the top. I start walking here. By the time I'm closing up on that thing again is where this guy... So where I was first standing and thinking, oh, there's not much around here. That's where I believe he ended up being when he decided to talk to me. And so now I'm walking along with my stuff and I'm making noise and stuff. And I happen to have my camera on. No lights on. And I'm walking along so you can hear me on the gravel and stuff. All of a sudden, and I talk about the 3-second thing. I got that up where I call it like a verbal, aggressive, whatever. You know, you'll see the thing there. It's a black picture, and it's only 2 minutes and something. So take the time if you like. Anyway, so I'm walking along. I heard something, but I didn't at that time know what it was. But 3 seconds into the video, 3 plus the 4-second is I can hear it well. Because I listened to the guy afterwards, or I mean during the thing. But that growl, man, is just every time I hear that, man, it just is a scary thing. It's like listening to a lion. It really is for me. So I heard this noise, wasn't even fully sure. I remember questioning it, thinking, no, I'm going for it. And so I'm like, hey, what's up? Then I heard a couple of scuffs. And then I started to realize there's kind of like this or whatever. And at that point there, I don't think I had heard anything vocal. I think it was just like this, branches breaking and stuff. And I always say it like this. I don't say it like this because to me they don't really sound like they were then. It didn't sound like they were breaking then. And because I'm trying to get a picture whether I believe they were behind those bushes, you know, when I'm standing there and stuff, right? Anyways, so the swiping, crashing noises, I've never counted them, but I'm going to say 30 minimally is kind of where my guess is going to be. The growls for sure are that harsh one that happens at the first. I think previously, maybe about 1 second, 1.5 seconds, there's a slight growl where they do their like this, and I'd hear him lousy. So instantly after he does and then that's when I like this. So I come up or I'm on the dike. I end up coming over closer, continue the conversation of kind of like, what's going on, guys? Like, why are you acting like this? Kind of trying to torment them, obviously push them a little bit. I don't know what came over to me, really, to be able to make me to do that, because it's not like, would that have ever been your plan? It was never my plan. I never planned on bumping into them in the night. If I ever think about it, I always thought I would be terrified of it, and I feel like I would be terrified to bump. I do not want to bump into one at the night and where they just come out in front of me like that. I don't want that at all, man. I want it to be in a daytime, if it ever happens, and you get to approach each other and kind of understand what's going on and stuff. Like, that way, I think it's the best way to keep a person kind of sane. Pretty scary subject. But anyways, so yeah, that, and then at, about 1.5 minutes or something, I'm not sure exactly on the time, I kind of argued with this guy. Got to a point where he threw it a couple of more growl, or one more at least growl, that just gave me the message that I'm coming through these bushes for you next. So I just realized, I just kind of woke up enough to realize, wow, this is big. And I said, okay, or whatever, and I'll leave you alone. And sometimes you almost have to relive things, right? So, yeah, believe it, man. I've been there. So that's 6 weeks around, I call it. I don't remember the date on that one. So in 6 weeks, I got to have a beautiful experience and another beautiful experience. Another one that's not so much beautiful, but kind of scary. The big male one that I say that's out there. If you get to see him, the baboon one and stuff like that. Like, I remember being okay the whole time, except near the end there, where I decided to shut off the camera. I struggled with it at first, at one point there. I don't know if that part of the video's up. I got good amount of video on that guy. And people who can't see him, that's fine. But I'll tell you what does happen is there is arm movement, and there's arm movement on this side too. So to me, it doesn't matter what anybody else is thinking. I will be able to get that to you guys eventually, when the finances work well or whatever. And let's just say that the picture is that small, it's just this thing, and you guys only see them like that. I will be able to bring it in so you'll be able to see it just this big someday, and make it out the best you can. So when I'm over in Vancouver Island, in Victoria there, I'm hoping I'm going to try to be able to wake up one of my nephews. I got a great nephew that lives there. He's about 20 years old, and I'm really hoping that he is going to help me out on some computer work. Wouldn't that be awesome? Okay, why did you... Excuse me. Okay, so Vibes of Truth. Hey, Vibes, were you in here earlier? You weren't, were you? Cool, man. Good to see you. Julie, it's something most need to experience for themselves in order to believe. All my sightings have been during kayaking. Brown Dwarf says he's nuts about Bigfoot. I know you are, man. Johnny Crow, Tinman, were all your Bigfoot experiences by sheer chance, or do you have any techniques that you think increased your chance of an encounter? Well, that verbal one, if you think about it, I was using, so that's 6 weeks into it, I was using tracking techniques that I learned to go to a place and be able to observe if they're staying there or not. I observe fairly quickly that they are, and then it gives me the chance to be able to research it. I came back the next day to do some more research, and they knew I'm back the next day, and the guy ended up just doing that to see if they could get rid of this human that is showing a little too much interest. He might actually communicate with my very first habitat. They might all kind of know that there's this one in particular guy that lives in our area that drives around in this car. Who knows if they can make out the sticker on my hood? I got my Tinman sticker that is, when you see it once in a while on that gold picture just recently of an upload, you see that. Can they make out that sticker? Well, if they can make out the sticker, are they relating that I'm somehow saying that sticker is them? It's hard to say how much this goes blowing out. I'll tell you this. I lived 3 or 4 valleys away when I discovered the spot where they were. The day that I walked into the area is when I discovered it. Something within days, I can't exactly remember, and I'm willing to say within 2 weeks or something like that, but I believe it was within days. I ended up, by the way, when I drove out of there, I think it might have been my very first day, I just decided, hey, I'm going to watch for this X thing that people talk about. And there is a big, and I even have it up on my earlier things, there's a big couple of evergreens that are doing a big X there, or whatever that means. But it is roadside and so on and so forth. Anyways, within a couple of few days, week, 2 weeks, whatever it was, I ended up realizing I was picking up signs that they have been around here. One thing about it was I did a lot of walking on my property there and other people's property that is all just growing in and stuff all through the back here and such. When I was living on that 10 acres, did lots of walking around there, and I was never looking for a Bigfoot. I was looking for bear paws, I was looking for coyotes, I was trying to read all kinds of things going on, but I was just trying to figure out life. Whatever I learned over there, now, to this day, can say they were not much living in my area there. Just a couple buddies. They were not occupying it. As I was, because I continued to live in that house for probably, it might have been just a month to 2 months longer I lived in that house before I moved out and decided to go on the road with all this. I went out there a few more times. And I was starting to realize, hey, there's more activity starting to happen from the stuff that I'm learning out in the bush and such, and in an area where I know they're about. Had all my experiences by then and stuff. Within a week, 2 week period, Jack, my dog, got attacked by something that in his back hips were about this big, wide. He had 2 fang bites on this side of this hip and just 1 bite on this side, like kind of thing, whatever that was. And I even have a video up of it because it was so spooky. The day before, I think it was just the day before, he also was in other altercation out there where he came home where he had a belly sweep on him, almost like somebody might have tried grabbing him running like this, and the claw marks came out around his hips. One even came wrapped right out around it, and it was full of claw scratching. But it was obviously not to kill him, or else I can't. Because in that case, people say, yeah, well, maybe he was that good. No, when you're having that long of a sweep and something's not just going tweak, we all know what it takes to do a tweak if you're lasting that long on somebody, right? So whatever reason, he did not get killed at that moment. The other one that bit him, that kind of a thing, I know Jack. He wouldn't have cared who it was. He would have been turning around trying to bite him. He wouldn't have fear in him. He would have had a bit of a fight in him. Like, that's his personality, right? And he got to survive all that. And then he got to have lots of fun running the forest as I was learning my stuff. He's different times running the forest. And I think they accepted that, at least that neighborhood guys accepted that, no, this dog gets to keep going or whatever, man. He's earned some kind of right. He became a friend probably with them and stuff. So sometimes when I was trying to get Jack home and they're probably keeping him out there and they're tripping Jack out and I'm, they're playing head games with me, I'm sure. But another thing that had happened, because I was learning different tree markings out there and stuff and claw markings all at this time and stuff, not knowing how much they had to do with trees. A couple of trees on my property, one of them, I went up to it. I can't remember the kind of cutting. I can kind of picture where the tree is and all that kind of stuff, but I can't remember exactly the mark that I did on there. But I kid you not, man, I went up to this tree and I took out my knife or whatever I did, and I did a mark that was a similar mark than them that I've had been seeing in it, in the bark of the tree, somewhere in this level. Before I moved off of that property, I remember walking over to that bark there and to take a look at the couple of things that I had done there. I think both of them I almost felt maybe had been tampered with. But this one here almost like had somebody come by and it might even have been dirt or something. Just kind of like it was smudged out. And I kid you not. And I'm where there is no chance somebody was spying on me. And as soon as I walked away, went and did that. No chance. I had not told anybody about it or anything like that. So take that to the bank, I never videotaped any of that, or, that's just my hearsay kind of thing. That's one of my experiences that I just talk about. And that was a really early experience of going, wow, man, like, who wiped on this? I remember trying to figure out, could it be a bear, any of the different answers. Hey, Mark, how's it going? Hope you're good too, brother. Tinman, where are you? Oh, so, my very first one, then, Johnny, was a sheer chance. But they were watching me. They were in the vicinity. Whether they were doing a bit of a flow and moving from me or not, don't know about that, but I know they're in my vicinity, and sometimes you'll have a scout and everybody hangs out over here and they try to they're going to try to figure out where you're going to, they're interested and stuff like this. Well, what happened was I decided, and it was really funny because I called it, I'm on camera or whatever, and I go, well, if I want to find these guys, I guess I got to walk through the thick of it. Something like that, I said. Similar to like what I said, in that thing. But here I am making the choice to go off trail and walk through this thick stuff, right? Or whatever, maybe I said this thick stuff. Anyway, so I'm walking through there, and it's pretty thick. Some of it wasn't like super dense thick, but it was thick where it just wasn't, if you really wanted to look around and make it their trail system, I was busting through it even differently, and I knew I was doing that. I was just kind of in that mode, being willing to step, because this is only 13 days into it. So in that mode, I also wasn't really able to follow their trails super well or anything like that, and I should have been. Now I'd walk through there and I'd be a little bit more graceful and walk on their trails. Anyway, so I'm busting through here. I now step into what I call is the pathway, about halfway down into the valley of the Sasquatch. Maybe more like a third of the way down. And I stepped out there, and the logic of most people is you're going to now turn towards that valley, because that's when they know that most people are coming into the valley from the top. Walk down the valley. So when I'm stepping here, they're actually right over here. And so when I stepped out, there's just a couple of things right here that, I don't know, maybe I felt were a little bit worthy to film. at this point. So I just turned this way. And just as I turn this way, and I'm kind of talking or whatever, and I just look over this into this bush, I'm just like, something's up. I just felt something is up. So I decided to take my attention away from that. Now say that attention is truly here. And I'm pointing up trail a little bit. And I kind of walk up onto this little bit of a mound right here on the trail. And then I scan back. So this is my first face-to-face. And I'm scanning back to that area. And I'm like, my heart is racing. Stuff's going on where, you know, I'm just in making myself complete this motion right now. You know, I had no thought of, you know, what's going on. I'm just kind of blank, I guess, in a way, but knowing something's here, something's going on. So I scan over this way or whatever, and then that's when I basically get right on to the, it's kind of nice because it lined me up perfect through this little bit of bush. Because there's a bunch of them there, you'll end up figuring out as time goes on. But what I got to focus with, because this is always a big thing, if you focus on somebody big or something like that, somebody with experiences and such, he's going to try to end it somehow or whatever. Especially he's got that kind of nature that, I'm busted or whatever. It's got to change. But with this junior, they weren't really following, I believe now, who I was really catching in the picture, who I was concentrated on, and it was Junior the whole time. So I'm not going with my eyes and going, is there anybody over here? Is there anybody over here? Is there anybody over here? I'm not doing anything to upset Dad or anything. I'm not looking at, because there's some guys over here too. I'm not doing anything. As I'm first walking up there, if you're good, you might be able to get some pre-seeing. Like, I think this picture might end up being it's one of those things where we will get camera breakdown type programs or whatever you call it, that we'll be able to pick out stuff way better eventually in our future. So these kind of things will kind of get the compliment that Patty gets sometimes with some of these breakdowns, how some of these guys have taken it to such a limit of our new abilities to break it down, to show us a lot of different features and a lot of different information to help feed us all that we're sitting here knowing. I believe my first face-to-face, I'll put it through as best as I can, that procedure, let's put it that way. Anyways, so that's part of the success on this picture, of being able to have that guy in the picture for, truly in the picture for, I don't know how long it is, but 10, 20, 30 seconds. I'm not really sure. But maybe 10, I would say. Yeah, anyway, so that's part of the success on those guys not busting out of there. And then they ended up busting out of there. They ended up just, basically, they just slide out of the picture frame. You can kind of just see them do that little chair slide thing, and their big huddle just huddles out the back. Off the subject. Okay, so where are we down here? Hope you... What do you think? What do you think they are? No one knows. That's what's so amazing. Coyote Slayer, you're saying that? I heard a researcher that I trust say he had one run so fast and grabbed him. Yeah, eh? Interesting. And he couldn't barely see it. It went so fast. So it just ran past him and kind of tapped him. Tinman, do you gift? Like, am I set up with that thing where, I can hit the thing and give you $2 if you were doing a live or something? Is that the gift you're talking about? If that's the one you're talking about, I don't know if I've completely got that set up yet. I'm kind of looking into that stuff so you can do that kind of stuff. I checked brown dwarf sight out. Pretty cool. Off the subject, but I listened to Indians on peyote and was amazed they see the future from many, many years ago. Oh yeah? Talking about this subject or something from way back? And then Coyote Slayer is saying, I had a pic my sister got of a red, hairy arm trying to take down a trail cam. Oh yeah, eh? That's sort of why I think they are of superior nature. They almost know they aren't supposed to show themselves. Brown Doors is saying, at Coyote Slayer, nice, I have a video called Eureka. It's a thin red one. And Johnny Crow is saying, gifting Bigfoot with a question mark. See? Oh, Tinman, do you gift? Okay. Gifting Bigfoot, okay. What I do mostly is I have, and I found candies to be pretty successful. Like I was giving, what do you call them? Those gold wrapped ones. Wilchesters or Werthers. I was giving Werther candies for a while there, and I'd just break, because you can break them, so they end up being really fragmented little pieces. But mostly what I do is I just give this kind of stuff. Stuff that I'm eating. Birdseed things. Or not birdseed, you know, but just different nut creations and stuff. This is an energy mix and stuff. So I leave this out. I kind of just leave the impression I'm doing it for the birds. I'm one of these ones that I'm trying to... I don't know, I'm trying to figure out what I'm doing. Trying to figure out how much I can close my gap. And you never know. You know, I've been in so many situations. Two answers I can only come up with is I can close it where they're accepting me more, and maybe, you know, a year, 2 years, 10 years, 20 years, whatever. You know, maybe they're willing to be right there in the forest or whatever and kind of close and making noises, and I'm making noises back. I don't know. Instead of at a further distance where I can't see them. They won't on purpose bring themselves into my sight. Let's say it that way. So there's the option of working towards that. What is the frig with this crap tonight? Sorry, but you know I'm sensitive in the hearing, and I don't need that. So having said that, they the other thing is just dying at their end. You know, I'm here for two different reasons. Or I mean, I'm here for one reason, to get information. I've been successful to this point to come up with some pretty elaborate ideas and understanding, and it's going to blow people away. And so much of it is just reality, what I'm talking about. They're really going on, really in their nature, really taking care of forests, really doing all this breaking up stuff, really causing issues, really picking at our structures. Yeah, and at the end of the day, they're obviously not causing a lot of problems, are they? Because they could be doing a lot worse. They could be making this a living hell, guys. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. Thank you so much for all the thumbs ups, guys. That is awesome. Habituating, I guess, eh? Yeah, we got to make sure that they're accepting us. It really, sometimes it gets a little confusing, overwhelming. That's why I want a real team that I get to connect with, Dr. David Suzuki, or, something where there's something backing it, that steps are happening. What's that guy? That Stroud guy. Not Stroud, not Les Stroud, but what's that other guy's name again? That guy's suing the government here? What do you guys know about him? One of you guys, Mark was saying the other day that he knows him and stuff, I think, or something. If there's any kids watching, don't watch. I'm going to have a cigarette if my lighter ever lights. Laugh out loud. Todd standing, there we go. Awesome, thanks guys. So yeah, I don't know. Maybe I should try having a conversation with Todd. If he turned around and just treated me like an idiot, like many people have and stuff, then I would create a bit of an enemy in this system. That me and him could come face to face maybe. If I continue staying in this in a big way, then me and him could probably come face to face again, or could come face to face in the future with him saying he's such a big squatcher, right? Anybody hear how Standing is doing with his lawsuit? There's an interesting researcher in your area, I think. Badernigel? Is it? I don't know. I know there's, what's he called, BC Sasquatch or something like that. He's on a different league than me, though. He just goes crazy way up the mountains and stuff and puts himself through so much work. I don't think he would enjoy my style of tracking and blah blah. He's in a different thing. Well, you heard on the Sasquatch Chronicles. Oh, okay. What did he have to say? Anything? He's on his last hurrah, trying it for one last time. On the Sasquatch Chronicles. Yeah, eh? Yeah. I don't know. It's not like, I really am, in a lot of ways, here different than a lot of people. I really am on a different subject. I talk about how Bigfoot is involved of the growth character of our bark systems on trees. I'm probably the first person that uploaded a video talking about what, based on my relationships with Bigfoot and research and such, what I think went down with Patty out there and why she was caught on film. Is that just because it makes sense for me to come up with that subject? Or has nobody ever really thought that maybe she has had a baby? That's why her boobs were so big. That maybe she really wasn't miles away from home because it didn't make sense because her boobs are too big and she's got to feed her kids. And the man should be out there doing her food and doing the food and stuff. I don't know if any of you know that, but I did a video talking about how she probably just parted her family as this noise of these horses and these couple of men busted onto the rock of a creek bed. So she hopped up, started walking to drag them away. And part of the proof of that so much is even when the guy loaded his gun, and Patty does the shoulder check and looks past Patterson to Gimli with the gun and sees it's okay. He's not in kill mode. She turns, and they're not looking at my children or whatever's going on. And she went back to this position and kept on walking and wasn't even fearful to look back. Didn't change her pace or anything like that. Everybody tries to talk about how awesome and smart of a being it is and stuff. And here it is. A guy loads the gun behind her. And she doesn't even start to run or anything or hide. It's because she was saving her family's life in my books. Okay, here's one of the top of the tops. I'm surprised you don't know who he is. He is a wildlife biologist from Canada. Oh, okay. Binder Nagel. Cool. Binder Nagel. You love him, Lisa? Shane, I'm going to tell your husband. Why don't you marry him then? Yeah, crazy. Cool, I got to remember that. Lisa, do me the favor, please. Send me that on. Just, no, I'll remember. Binder Nagel. I'll write it down right now. How's that sound? You were out with Boo Boo last weekend? That's, one of the search ones, I guess, eh? You're talking about? I guess. Is that, connections working out all right, guys? Just saying that it's a little bit poor right now. Yep. 2 hours almost. Very good connection. Right on. Coyote Slayer, you should have a picture up. Should have realism. It's really, you guys got to understand, it's really hard to connect past just a name. If there's just a name there, you know. Pieces of information that completes it, makes it feel more real, is just like if I was always just a talking voice, you know, whatever, I can use whatever examples I want, can't I? So what do we want to do? Have another Timbit? I gotta get out of the city. I hope the place I go to is going to be comfortable. I'm a little bit worried about the crashing water around there and stuff. Because water does have an effect on ground. It does send vibrational stuff through ground, right? So I'm really hoping where we're living, where the house is and stuff, it's really shock absorbed quite well from that. It'll make my stay just that much better, let's put it that way. Julie saying, Ian, your subject matter is one part of the body in the Bigfoot world. How do you say? Because basically the Bigfoot are just one subject. They really are just one subject. And they do stuff. We as humans are just one subject, but we do things. Just because, you know, Brown Dwarf climbs mountains, you can tell the stories about his scaling the side of mountains and stuff like that. And you can tell the stories about how I walk on the trails of the mountains and that kind of stuff. But, you know, there's just a billion different things that we can be doing, and we don't do all of the things. So I've actually come up with a lot of different information that Bigfoot is involved in and does. For an example, and some people have even come across these kind of things and appreciate. And I know some researchers that are real researchers, and they're putting across information to tell me that they've used that or whatever. And one of the things is how they fake fire pits and such, if you want to call it a fire pit. They do it very simplified, but in their areas at different times, sometimes you'll find, and there's, for the person who's been making a way into the Bigfoot world, and they come across this, it doesn't mean everyone they come across, they're going to go, oh, and there's another one that's a Bigfoot. Oh, and there's another one that's a Bigfoot. Oh, and there's another one that's a Bigfoot. But they have a piece of information to bring it into the rest of the information and see how real it is or not. Another clue I've given to people is how they try to trick you out with burnt wood in there. So the people who have been following me and get to watch all the videos or whatever type thing, and they hear how I talk about how they fake out burning wood, is one thing that they're doing. About the rock around and stuff like that. That's one thing that they're doing. So I'm talking about a heck of a lot more than what people generally are talking about. I talk about a huge, huge specimen of DNA I believe I will have. I would bet a lot on it that it's 99.9% going to come out good in our side, unless somehow me saving it is failing it, or how I did. Anyways, it's a bone about this long, and it goes, and I talk and I teach people how you can see that it was clawed, cleaned out. There's different depths inside there. The bone marrow's all gone. There was blood in there. It was just freshly left on a path that I was walking, when I was walking amongst what I believed was a day of, I felt, you know, I was having an idea that they were around. And yeah, I believe it was left to me as a gift and stuff. And so, you know, that's just another piece, you know. More than this, way more than any of these guys that have tried to go in there and their hair has come up false. More than they can believe how much that hair was a piece of proof for them. Mine is stronger than what they had believed. And that hair that they found on a fence, or they found on the tree, or they generally found in a long time after. I found this bone, had blood freshness that I caught on video in at the bottom of it, where it still had the blood in the marrow, where it was like they were freshly cleaning it. And just in the period of me walking out of the bush with that color complexion was already changing into a drier state. That goes to show. So I got a lot of stuff compiling to prove that. And then I got this, where that bone and a claw is cleaning it, and they're most likely, most animal kind of mentality that's breaking out a new piece of fresh food or something like that, they're going to want to finish it up or whatever. they're not going to clean it out and make a pile right here on the wood or anything. They're going to be cleaning it, licking it, cleaning it, sharing it, cleaning it, whatever they're doing. So hopefully that claw might have a lick of babies and mums in there. You know, who knows how that works with DNA stuff. But how my mind works, I figure I got an unbelievable piece of DNA with this spit being stuck back into that bloody thing and cleaned and scraped and pushed in and prodded, and it takes 10 minutes or whatever to clean out that little bit. If you look at it, how precisely it is even being done and stuff, you'll realize it wasn't a 2-second job or anything like that. So, you know, huge stuff going on. Huge. North. Yeah, I should put a picture up. I get my kids to do that stuff. What stuff? Tinman, that pot plant you found, do you think that was a Bigfoot stash? Oh, you mean the one where I say it's the biggest pot plant ever? That isn't a pot plant. If that's the one you're talking about, that was just I do not get it how those leaves are like that. I have no clue. It's in a park. It's in the Chilliwack Central Park here in, in BC. And if that's the one you're talking about, I have no idea how it tripped me out, that plant. It really did, because it really did look like a pot plant. Is that the one you're talking about? I'm kind of in a park talking about the biggest pot plant in the world or something. Julie is saying your style is as useful and important as any other researcher. Very important information you give. Oh yeah, everybody's doing their different jobs for sure. If it ever sounds like I'm trying to put down another guy, or I am putting down other guys, then that's just my ignorant way of talking or whatever. Like Brown Dwarf's been along for a long time, and I've given him pointers a number of times, and there's a chance that he doesn't even like it that I do that. But he's still coming around. He's still and I don't think it's because he thinks that I come on his channel tons of times. It's because he just appreciates what's gone on. So, and that's what the style is. Yeah, I thank you too. You do a good job. It's kind of neat how you've come along too. Food catches you ever find where they store food? No. Cache. Oh, I see. No. There's cache, yeah. Caches. I've come to conclusions at times that they've broken into other stashes of food, though, like the squirrels and such. Or a squirrel will have a big buried bunch of pine cones, and the way a squirrel or chipmunk or whatever because there's a little seed in those husks. There's husks on the pine cone, and there's a little seed in that husk, and that's what everybody wants to eat. So that's like the baby. That's like you like to eat sprouts. That's a sprout. Actually, this is pre-sprout. So anyways, the way a chipmunk will take and de-husk all that, and then take the seeds out and miss ones and not get all the seeds and blah, 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 it's different than the characteristic of a Bigfoot Sasquatch. On a Bigfoot Sasquatch, it's tidier, more success. You look at their pile and you won't be able to find any seeds that were missed. They do a different job. Their mind's in a different mindset. Yeah, Brown Dwarf, you like my style? Thank you very much, sir. I'm just looking forward to some change, I guess, out there. I'm doing good. I'm having good times. I think we all are. And I'm telling you, Dwarf, do you go back very often and listen to that video? Because I kid you not, man, I haven't gone back and listened to it for a while. I'm going to try to remember to listen to it after this or later. But just to get my head around it again. But I tell you, man, that's one good piece. That's like some of Rick's stuff lately. That trippy, sound level trippy. So if you listen to Rick and stuff, if you ever go on Rick's last name or whatever, he's got those couple of, he's got somebody bugging him right at his back door. By the sounds of it, he's around lots of farm area. And he's also got 2 properties. He owns like another bigger piece of property around there where... And he's been here like a long time also. He's been here, I think, at the very beginning pretty much. When I started to do this kind of stuff, he was popping in and saying some things. And he was even, you know, trying to cause me some grief back in the day. No, it's not that cold. Thank you, Coyote. Yeah, no, it's not that cold. I mean, I'm in short sleeves sitting here, right? My car's steamed up, you know. This is what it is. It's just kind of wet, kind of miserable stuff. Kind of stuff that's not, you know, I can't complain though, because we just had, I don't know how many days of sunshine and stuff. So it was beautiful. It was gorgeous. I really enjoyed that. And supposedly this is only going to last through the weekend. And we're going to get cleared up and have another string of some nice days. So I'm really looking forward to that. Yeah. What time do we have? 9:15. Well, guys, I'm going to call her a night. Hope you're all well. Yeah, you got some wood going? Nice. Nice wood fire going, eh? Great for you. I will take care of you too, Coyote. Have a good one, Brown. Julie. Johnny. Lisa. Everyone. Take care, Johnny.